This
everyone, thank you
conference
for
will now
joining.
be recorded.
Hello everyone,
Hello,
thank you for joining in
everyone.
today. Hello.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I'll just say a small hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Surat WIT Group. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. And there I welcome Sagar Parikh. Over to you, Sagar.
thanks, Isha. Thanks. So, today we're going to talk about publishing an application on Appexchange. So, I'm Sagar Parikh. I am Golden Hoodie winner and author of two Salesforce books. I've been working in Salesforce ecosystem from last 7 to 8 years, and I like worked on mostly onto the product scenarios or product-based applications or more kind of the Appexchange side of Salesforce stuff. So today we are going to talk about how you can start working on your idea and taking all the way up to your target, that is publishing it for the masses, or that is Appexchange. So the agenda for today is to talk about evaluating your idea and competition. Like if you are launching an application, what your idea, if you have an idea, how you can project it and also put it in front of your competition. Why every developer is a product manager, and if you are working on a product, why you should think like a product manager, not as a developer. Then securing your application and passing the security review process of Salesforce. And once you have launched your application, what you should do after product launch. So first thing to talk about is evaluating your idea and the competition. So I have included over here saying by Matt Mullenweg, who is the founding developer of WordPress. He said like ideas are just like oxygen, and the moment you start working on it, you make it public. Uh, that's the better choice. If you won't make it public, it's like your idea is dying. So if you have an idea, you can start working on an application and figure out how you can take it further to the masses. So once you have an idea, you should ask yourself following questions: what problem you are trying to solve, what is your target audience, and what value it will bring into the business or people who will buy this application. And once you are done with that, you should ask, what are your competitors or who are your competitors? What difference you are making up with your application? What are the different set of features that you are offering them once they will buy your application, or why should they buy your application? And if you have a feature set that is ahead of them, what are those features? What would be the different thing that you are doing from your application? Let's say if you have a chatbot application and there are a variety of other chatbot applications in the market, what are the other features that you are giving, or what a kind of a value are adding for a customer so that he can make use of your application? As I said earlier during agenda, like every developer should think like a product manager. So uh, the Stack Exchange co-founder Jeff Atwood said, writing a code that is an easy part, and getting in hands of a user and creating apps that people really want to use, that's the hard stuff. So most of the people in India or people who are getting started with Salesforce platform think that they want to become a developer. But the majority of things what lies over there is the thing that you should think like a product manager, not like a product developer. So the day you start thinking like a manager, that this is what a feature I am developing up. This should it should ship onto time. These are the set of features that should I work on. The main thing is if you start thinking like overall perspective, that's the hard stuff. That is something you should think like if you're working on an application. So I've divided these things into three parts. First is vision, then communication and execution. Vision is something like if you're a product manager, you should have a clear vision of where your product is heading to. You should clearly communicate what are your requirements and how your team would be able to execute things efficiently. And final thing is execution, making sure each and every module is shipping onto time and you are time bound with whatever things you are developing in your applications and your part of your application. So coming on to Salesforce side. So Salesforce says that whatever applications you are building on top of Force.com platform should be secure enough, should be compliant enough from the Salesforce security review process. So the flow which Salesforce suggests is following. Like first you have an idea, we talked about idea, what question you should ask, then development, like what all development strategy you are going to follow, what all code you are going to package into your application, then packaging. So onto the Appexchange, you always put your managed package, not an unmanaged package. I think that you all guys are working on sales when you are very much aware about what's a managed and unmanaged packages. Just to give a glimpse for people who don't know, managed packages that you don't have access to the code, and unmanaged package is something where you have access to the code. So when you're giving a application to a customer, he should not be able to see the code, right? That's what your main monetized part is. So packaging, what all things you will be packaging up. So it would be a managed package, and then the security scan. So security scan is something you need to run on part of a cloud scanner application or cloud scanner provided by Salesforce, and submit your idea, and then it gets published into Salesforce Appexchange. So these are the steps on broad perspective. Then now we will go to each and every perspective. So before moving on to the security part, nothing is more important to our company than the security of our customers' data. Parker Harris. So you guys know that Mark Benioff and Parker Harris are the co-founders of Salesforce. So Parker Harris mostly look after the technological part, and as Salesforce is a multi-tenant environment, and their servers are distributed at a variety of locations. So the first thing what Salesforce cares about is what's the heart of Salesforce is data. And the trust is the number one thing for Salesforce, as you all know. So Parker has emphasized a lot onto the security, the customer's data. So if you are building and you are a third party developer and you are launching your application on top of an app exchange, you will have the access to the customer's data, or your application would be using the customer's data. So that's why Salesforce has implemented the security review process, and each and every application goes through that route. Now, scope of the app security. So the Appexchange security process or security review process or development cycle goes into three phases or covers three phases. Post.com app, the Post.com platform that you are using to develop your application on top of it. The web app. The web app is like if you are using a third-party integration, let's say you are integrating to Dropbox or Freshdesk, Zendesk, that application will also come into context because your data would be sent in and out to that third-party server as well. Then comes the client or mobile applications. If you are building a client app or mobile application, that will also be scanned or would be audited by Salesforce for the security purpose. So talking about security in depth, what are the major concepts that you should keep in mind while working on to Salesforce platform? So these are the few major concepts like sharing violations, XSS or cross-site scripting, CURD and FLS, parameter tampering, SOQL and SOSM injection. So these are something if you are a product manager or a Salesforce developer, these are the major things you should keep in mind while developing an applications or developing an application. So first is sharing violation. So if you are deploying your code onto or you're giving your application to a third party or your customer, your classes should obey the sharing rules over there, or they should respect the sharing rules. So if I have mentioned what are the wrong things. So if you are not using with sharing or without sharing, that's also wrong. If you are using without sharing, that is also wrong. The correct part is public with sharing, or with sharing keyword, where you have to obey the sharing settings of the target organization. Then comes the code and FLS violations. So if you are inserting, let's say if you are inserting a piece of let's say account or content any record, or if you're updating it, you should first check if it is basically creatable, updatable, or deletable. All those type of things you should first make a check. For example, I am trying to update account over here. If I do it right away, that is wrong. But if I want to use the FLS, or if I want to check the FLS violations, what I should do is first of all check schema.subject type account, means whatever my object name is, then the custom field name, and if it is updatable or not, and then update it. Then comes the cross-site scripting. So cross-site scripting, what it is basically, it's a way by the data can be manipulated. Let's say if you're loading a page and into that page there is a I would say input box, and that input box is using a variable to bind it on your Visual Force page or your LWC component, and you enter anything uh, that can become a malicious code and manipulate the data, or take some data out from Salesforce. That's a that's basically a risk. So whatever the variable that you use in your JavaScript, you should always use JSON encode with your variables rather than directly assigning the variables. So here what I have done is I have used a variable called script_var, and I'm just assigning that variable to that, assigning a value from my controller to that JavaScript variable. But rather what I should have done is I should have used JSON encode and then assign it to the JavaScript variable. So it will encode the whole code. So if somebody is trying to manipulate the code or manipulate the customer data, you would not be able to see, like you would be confused like what the data is. So it would be encoded. And coming to SOQL and SSL injection. So SOQL and SSL injection. So injection means like you have a URL, or you have a website link or force.com site link or an application link that is public, and somebody is now trying to manipulate your URLs, and through that they can run the SOQL or SSL queries right away into your Salesforce database by modifying the SOQL queries from the URL bar. So rather than exposing them, you should avoid using the dynamic queries, because the variables would be binded directly to your URL. Rather than doing that, what you can do is you can avoid using the dynamic queries and use instead of binding variables. So we'll take a look at the example over here. So in the above example, what I'm doing is I'm using a binding over here with the sr.transaction__id. So this is my folio which I am trying to retrieve, where the transaction ID is being coming up from some different object or some different I would say relationship record. So what instead what I am doing is, in the correct way, I'm just removing the single quotes from here, and I'm just using string.escape single quotes, and it would remove all the single quotes, and it will make it more cleaner to be used into my queries. So if somebody would try to manipulate or try to put hyphens over there, or commas, it will be, or single quotes, it would be removed automatically, and the variable would be more clear inside my Apex code. Then coming on to parameter tempering. So parameter tempering is something like you have a parameter and that you are transferring from your URL, and somebody has entered some malicious code over there. Same like this, we talked about SQL SSL, but that parameter is directly getting binded with your one of the variable inside your Apex code. It's like what we are talking about this in wrong part. I'm just using this string VID, and in the string VID, I'm just directly assigning the apex pages current page dot cat parameter dot cat ID. So basically, I'm just taking the ID from the URL and using it directly into my Salesforce query, SQL query. Whatever others done is like I've directly used it over here in my uh, account query. So what the benefit of it is, like basically, if I will be reusing string VID everywhere in my code, if something malicious comes over here in this line, it will exploit whole code inside my Salesforce application or my Appexchange application. So rather than doing or assigning a URL, or I would say a parameter from a URL, you should directly bind it to the query. Then coming on to the scanning of a web application. So if you are uh, like directly publishing your application on Appexchange, and that is not having any kind of integration with third party, you can just take care of these parameter tampering, all those vulnerabilities we have talked about, or vulnerabilities you should avoid. But in case of web app, let's say if you are using a Dropbox application or any other Fast as and as any kind of integration, if there is a third party integration with your existing database, you have to uh, run these scanners provided by Salesforce. So there are two type of scanners. One is force.com security scanner. So you can use it for the force.com native apps. The whole code that is residing on Salesforce should be scanned up over here. This report is necessary for each and every application that we are going to submit for Appexchange security review. And the second one is Zap tool. The Zap tool is used to scan the third-party servers. So it generates a report for your integration or the target or from the source where you are either taking out data or sending out data from with or from Salesforce. So let's say you are using Freshdesk to integrate, or you are using Oracle. So you have to scan that particular target integration point to or source integration point with Zaptool and generate the report and send it to Salesforce. If you get any vulnerabilities in Zaptool via Zaptool, you have to clear that up by talking to that vendor or to that team so that it is not having any vulnerability, because the security is the first thing in Salesforce world, because you will be sending your customer data right out of from Salesforce to that system, and if the system someday gets hacked or has been like met any incident over there, so it might corrupt the Salesforce as well, because it always have a cascading effect. If one system will fail, another will also fail. Now, initiating the security review. So as we talked about, once you have managed your or you have created your managed package, what you can do is you can list your application on Salesforce partner community, or I would say partner portal, which we call publishing console. Salesforce will provide you a fully functional demo, or they will assign you an ISV license, or I would say a publishing license to you, where you can create your demo org, and from that demo org you can just what you can do is just install your application, put your whole functionality over there, and link it with your publishing console. You have to provide all the credentials in that particular listing. With, like, if you are integrating third party, you should have the username password of third party system, you should have username password of all your Salesforce organization, and so on. Then make sure you have false positive justification document. Let's say the vulnerabilities that you found in, let's say, Oracle system or any third-party integration tool, and those teams or those vendor are saying that these all are false positive, means those are positive, means those are basically vulnerabilities, but those are due to some reasons. So you can take out some justification from that team and ask them to certify, and then you can submit it to Salesforce. And finally, you should provide all the guides, documentation involved in operation of that application. So you have created an application, but you haven't created a user guide. So Salesforce team or the security review team would not be able to navigate over that. So you need to provide all the documentation guides so that they can run through whole system and take most out of it and check each and every functionality. Finally, the free apps are always free. If you're creating a free app on Appexchange, those are free. You don't have to pay anything on a security review fee. But if you are creating any application that is paid or that will give you some monetized benefits, so you have to pay $2,700 one time upfront fee, and then thereafter $150 every year. But this fees is negotiable, and you can talk to your account managers and work onto it. But yeah, this is basically a new fee that has been imposed by Salesforce so that your application can be reviewed by them. Yeah. So once these all things are done, in security review process or your application is listed, you have paid the fee, your application is now good to go. You can use product hunt community to market your application or get in touch with your right audience. Use the publishing console onto Salesforce to get most out of it. As I said, you get a LMA license or you get a demo or licenses where you can put your code or you can link your application over there to the publishing console. You can use the make use of tools provided by Salesforce like analytics over there. So let's say how many people are coming onto your page, your listing, how many have downloaded it, how many are really making use of it. And from there you can even see your reviews because it's now listed on the Salesforce Appexchange. You can ask the customers who installed your application for reviews and make most out of it because whatever the feedback that they would be providing ultimately that is going to be incorporated into your app and that will improve the productivity or the functionality of your application. So that what we call is a VOC, voice of customer, where you hear about your customers and improve your product. Yeah. So that's from my side. If you have any questions, you can just let me know.
I think that was an awesome insights for publishing your app on App Exchange. What all security do we want, and how do we publish it? Uh, Sagar, just one slide back, I would like to introduce our trailblazers with the Telegram group. Yeah. So, guys, this is the official Telegram group by Salesforce Dev Relation Team, exclusively for developers in India. You can install Telegram and join this particular group. If you, Sagar, if you can post the link in the chat so everybody can
Yes, sir.
join it. So all the latest updates and everything comes in that Telegram group. Do join that group, guys. It would be great for your connectivity and you would be up to date for any type of events, sessions, and stuff. I'll just look at the chat window if we have any questions. Anybody, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat window or Sagar will ask you one or two questions because we have a swag giveaway and the winner would be reached out through any social media or email ID. So, Sagar, would you like to ask one or two questions to our audience and they can answer in the
Yeah.
chat?
So I think Vineet has asked another question. So he is saying that I have no idea what the app is the same as checkmarks. No, checkmarks is basically cloud scanner tool that I talked about. Checkmarks basically runs on your Salesforce application and gives you the report. But Zap is basically a server type of thing that you need to install onto your computer. There's a server tool basically. Whatever the integration would happen, let's say you are using Freshdesk, which where you will be fetching all your tickets. So you all the API call that will route through that, you will need to hit on all those APIs. Let's say you are fetching all the tickets, so you will need to hit that all those API. Let's say ticket API, user API, whatever the APIs you have to first hit through that server only. Server mean to say not the whole server, but it's a software that will act as a server and it will keep on logging all those uh, I would say, all those APIs responses over there, and it will look after the vulnerabilities into it. Yeah.
Okay. So, Vineet, I hope you got your answer. If you still have any doubts, don't hesitate to come over the mic to ask more.
This is
Anybody else?
Kumaresan here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah,
Hello.
team, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, actually, I'm working on community cloud, Sagar. Actually, I'm planning to build one managed package for community cloud, but I'm not clear about that review payments. That's why it's a one of the blocker for me. Can you give some more information about how much amount we need to pay for Salesforce Appexchange security review, that kind of stuff? So
Yeah, so first thing you need to do is it your free application or the paid application?
actually, I'm planning to build. Initially, it will be free. Then I'm planning to include some pro features.
Okay. So your first
Yeah.
package, what you will need to do is whenever you will create your partner account. So what you need to do is you can sign. You need to sign up on partner.salesforce.com. You need to partner with Salesforce
Okay.
first, the ISV provider or the solution provider, whatever you fit in, whatever the way you fit in over there. There would be some options. You need to select over there, and then you need to provide enough uh, like direction what you are trying to develop over there. Salesforce then will review your submission, and then over there you will be like submitting some document or more like a more kind of a diagrams where you will tell them that yeah, this is what I'm trying to build and this is how I will monetize my application. So they will just review that
Okay.
one and then they will get in touch with you. But yeah, if your application is free, you can right away launch it. They will give you go ahead over there. Then once you have like got enough buzz around your application, what you can do is you can create another managed package under your same listing. But say you will need to talk to your Salesforce account manager. They will get in touch with you because there are some compliances that you need to do as well, where you will sign some papers with Salesforce, and then they will
Okay.
negotiate on the price. So $2,700 is the upper price, but it is negotiable. You can talk to your account manager, and they will look after what your potential of your application is. But yeah, it is most of the time it is discounted.
Okay. Then I think initially we can go with free, right? After that we can build
Yeah,
a paid
yeah,
one.
you need to create a separate package for that.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Sagar. Thank you so much.
And yeah,
Yeah.
for the monetization as well, like whatever the fee that you give, you can even partner like one time some small amount for security review, and based upon the pricing structure you have, you can Salesforce can ask you for the commission. So not by paying the whole
Okay.
$2,700 one time, you can have a commissioning model as well. You can where you pay some amount to Salesforce and save on the security review fees. So it is something that you can talk to account
Oh,
manager, but yeah, this is what I can give you over there, provide your input over there.
yeah. Thanks, Sagar.
So Raksa is asking for I don't have any project right now which I can show you, but yeah, I can give you an examples like you can see Appexchange applications over there on the Appexchange, which are built solely by Force.com labs. You can take them as an example, or you can read more about the managed packages. Even I have some blog post written on my website. You can check out how you can create managed packages, and then step by step all the process that I told you. You can follow that one. I think Yuvraj is also having some question around parameter tampering properly. Can explain again this. So parameter tampering is basically go back and parameter tampering. So parameter tampering is basically if you are having any URL that is having any ID coming up or any parameter coming up into your URL, you are fetching it into one of the variable, and that variable is being used publicly everywhere in your code. Let's say VID. In my case, this is the wrong part, string VID, and I'm using it over here as a binding variable. But apart from this, I'm using it somewhere else as well in my code. If somebody injects a malicious code over here into this ID, it might corrupt the whole code because this VID is being used somewhere else as well, or let's say 100 times other places as well. But what if you directly use this apex page current page get parameter over here directly, because it is being used, because it is being used for the purpose of this query only, and you will just tie it to this query. So if somebody will try to get into your code or try to uh, exploit it, he would be only able to exploit it this part of query, not the whole code. Yeah. Yeah, so Isha, shall we go ahead with the questions? So how many questions should I ask?
Okay, so you can ask around 2 to 3 questions. That would be great. And guys, please be proactive, extra proactive, because I'll be looking on the chat window. And with that, the winner will be decided. So, yeah, 2 to 3 questions, Sagar. Is that fine?
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
Yes, yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay, so my first question is how many types of packages that we have in Salesforce? Name them. Well, Kumar is in, yeah, right, but how many? Name them. Yeah. So Kumar is in the, I think,
Okay, that was awesome.
he was quick.
But if
Yeah.
you want to prevent your answers, so you can directly message Sagar. Okay, let's keep it everyone only because I'm the
Yeah,
organizer.
it would be more transparent. Yeah, it would be
So
more
yeah,
transparent.
it's a little difficult. Let's do this way only. Okay, carry on. The next question, please.
Okay. So how to get a parameter from a URL? What's the syntax of it? You can type it. How to get a parameter from a URL in Salesforce? Mainly in your controller. Let's see who types it first. Nobody knows about it. How to get a parameter from a URL into your Salesforce code controller. Am I audible, Isha?
Yeah, you're audible, guys. You can ping it to everyone if you are confused. Just ping chat to everyone. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, seems like I've asked some like a very tough question over, so I will make it more okay.
Okay,
So Yuvraj has answered it. I think Yuvraj is the winner over
awesome, awesome. Is it correct, Sagar?
there. Still correct. Yeah, he is nearby. So it's correct.
Okay, awesome. So, do you want to move to the next question?
Okay, so the next question is very simple. Uh, do protected is the access modifier in Salesforce FX code? Yes or no? Oh my god, oh my god. We have protected over there in Salesforce? Yes, yes, yes. Everybody say yes. I'm repeating. Do we have protected as an access modifier in Salesforce or access specifier in Salesforce? So do Yuvraj will qualify for the award because you have already got it, right? Isha, what's the rules for that? Like he will get
Okay,
an
so we won't be announcing the winner here. Uh, The backend team, as Shika is not here, so the Shika
I
will
think
revert.
Gautam got it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the winner would be reached out over their email within 24 hours. Yeah. So only the participation would be capturing here. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then you can talk to Isha. I am not involved in giving prizes, guys.
That's okay. That's okay. So, you do you have the third question as well?
It was my third question, I guess. Yeah. First one was the managed package
Okay, okay, okay.
request, then
Sorry,
we
my
have
bad.
the parameter, and then the last one was around
Yeah,
accessory.
yeah, yeah. So that
I
sounds
stick
good.
to basics. Yeah, I stick to basics, try to make it more friendly. I'm not sure people have worked on to Appexchange much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but I'm sure like this is a kind of topic that in real time we do encounter, and if you're not aware of if you're not much aware, then it was a session for deep insights. How do we publish our app over App Exchange and stuff? And with that note, do you have anything else, Sagar, at your end?
No, nothing.
Okay. So, with that note, I would like to say a big thank you to everybody joining in. And thank you so much, Sagar, for taking out time and giving a great session out there for our trailblazers on publishing your app over App Exchange. And the winner would be contacted soon over their email ID. So, stay tuned, stay happy, stay safe, everybody. Thanks again for joining. Happy weekend.
Yeah, thanks, guys.